I wonder if you've ever had one of those days where you wonder what life's all about. I had one of those recently. I'd just come back from Africa and I was sitting in the comfort of my home watching the rainfall outside, and I was watching this one leaf on a tree where slowly but surely the water would run down and just one drop at a time fall to the ground. Now I don't know why, but it made me think, does one drop matter? And I think probably what I was asking myself was, does one person matter? So here I was asking myself this because I'd just come back from Africa where people were struggling to survive, and here I am in relative luxury. You see, the sad reality is that for over 650 million people around the globe, every day they have a struggle just to get clean, fresh water. And often it means walking kilometres and kilometres, going to water holes that are full of mud, full of disease, full of bacteria, collecting that water, bringing it back, boiling it, in the hope that that will make it somehow fresh and clean. But the really, really sad statistic is that one child dies every 90 seconds from a lack of water or water-related diseases. And because that's in Africa, we tend not to notice. If that was in Australia, America or Europe, we'd be horrified. It would be front page news. Somehow, it seems like this is the forgotten 10%. And one of the things I want to say is that the struggle for water is not just about health, because it's about education and it's about justice. Because when someone leaves their village to go and collect water, it's normally the younger girls. And that means they're taken out of school, so their education suffers. But it also means that they are very vulnerable to being attacked, to being raped, to having some horrific things happen to them. So here I am having this struggle about the significance of life, thinking about these people in Africa, and this crazy idea popped into my head. And it was so crazy that for a few weeks I didn't want to tell anyone about it, because I thought they might think that I am really crazy. But it kept coming back and back. So after a few weeks I decided I would tell my wife Elaine about it. I thought she would say, "You are mad, don't do it," and that would be the end of it. So I told her, and she said, "You know what, if you can make a difference, you should go and do it." Okay. And because this was going to involve the people at Water for Africa, I thought, I'll have to tell their board. I'm sure if I tell them, they'll say, "Don't do it, it's crazy." So I met with Phil and Julie Hepworth, I told them, they met with their board and they came back and said, "That's a great idea, you should go and do that. If you can make a difference, you should do it." So here we are. This is the beginning of First World Adventure. So I'm going to combine three of my passions: my love of adventure, my love of photography, and my desire to help people with water. So I'll be taking an off-road motorbike and travelling around the world. It's the adventure of a lifetime. It starts in Perth and finishes 8 months later in Africa. The adventure begins on the 5th of March 2017 in Perth, and I head out across the Australian bush, through the desert. It's going to take about a month to make it right across Australia and into Sydney, and along the way I'm going to be visiting some really remote communities and seeing the struggle and the challenge that some of our own communities have to get clean, fresh water on a daily basis. The second leg begins in New York, where I'll travel across America, into the backcountry of Canada, and then finally up into the wilderness that is Alaska. Now leg 3 is probably the most challenging and the most exciting. It starts at Vladivostok in Russia, in Far East Russia, and I'm going to be heading up into Siberia onto a very famous road called the Road of Bones. It's one of the hardest, most remote roads on the planet. After that I'll make my way into Mongolia, through to Kazakhstan onto the Silk Way, and then I'll return back into Russia a few thousand kilometers later, and then I'll make it through Moscow and into the relative comfort of Western Europe It'll take about 2 months in total to make it to London, which is the end of leg 3. Leg 4 of the journey begins at Cape Town in South Africa. And I'll be travelling through South Africa and Botswana, Namibia, across to the Okavango Delta, and then finally making my way up to the home of Water for Africa in Tanzania. So along the way, some of my friends are going to join me and ride different sections with me and help highlight and tell the story. But for the most part, I'm going to be on my own, unsupported. So I'd love you to follow the journey. There's 3 things if I could ask you to do. The first would be to follow us. Jump online, check out the website and the blog on a daily basis, follow us on social media. The second thing, if you're really enjoying the journey and you really like that, help us to share the story. So take some of those sites and share them with your friends and family and get them involved. And finally, if you feel it in your heart to be really generous, then I'd love you to donate to the work for Water for Africa. I've seen the work firsthand that Water for Africa are doing. I've seen what the transformation can be like when one well goes into one village. People dance, they rejoice, they sing, because they know in that moment that clean, fresh water has changed and transformed their life forever. I'm so grateful for the amazing work that Phil and Julie Hepworth and the team at Water for Africa do. So I'd love it if you could be a part of this and support them and help them continue that great work. Help them change the lives of hundreds of thousands of people who have a daily struggle just to get a clean drink of water. Thank you.